Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood, and thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to what we're doing here. I'm joined by my good friend and a host of Get Your News On with Ron, a very popular YouTube show, Ron Placone. Ron, I wanted to talk to you about the shocking revelation of Nancy Pelosi being voted yet again to be Speaker of the House.
It was a very close contest. It was her versus nobody, and nobody just didn't make it this time. I made a couple calls on nobody's behalf, and wasn't enough.
I phone banked for nobody.
I wrote nobody in. I've been writing nobody in for years, and nobody's good on the issues. Nobody's really good on the issues. Nobody has always. Whenever there's been a surplus in their district, nobody's always given it back. And nobody, great with animals, too. I mean, I know that, I'm not trying to just lean on the personality here, but sometimes it's like, I met nobody once and the dog just went right up to them and sniffed. And it's like, you know what? They have a good judge of character. Nobody's heart's in the right place. I think nobody would have been the better speaker, but they just couldn't pull it out. And Nancy Pelosi coasted to victory.
Isn't it funny? A couple years ago, which year, 2016 or 2017, there was a big push to get a progressive in there, and behind closed doors, the Democratic Party crushed it. And now they're not even trying to give the facade that there's a chance.
They're not pretending to care. They're not even pretending that they care about anything. They're not even pretending. It's like, hey, we lost seats again. You're in.
Yeah, we have still enough to call ourselves a majority, but it doesn't matter. They lost seats because they just vote in line with, they voted for Trump's crap time after time. They vote against populist policies that would help people. So when people are confronted by that, they just go back and vote for the Republican then.
And they rely on people's amnesia about the whole thing, I mean, they only win. They being the Democrats, they only win when it's literally impossible for them to not win. Right. When it's literally impossible, where it's you only have two choices. And as long as there is something that's not the Republican, it's going to win right now. In 2018, calling that a blue wave is quite comical. It was more like a blue trickle. But yeah, they got some wins because it was impossible for them not to. In 2020, They actually managed to lose seats. And yeah, I think leadership's fine. Let's go with her again. What's funny is that she's been saying that she's going to step down in 2022 from that position, probably because she knows there's going to be a bloodbath in the midterms, which is very, very likely to happen. And she doesn't want to be the lightning rod when it happens.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me that, well, first, the Democratic Party clearly doesn't want to learn at all. I mean, they've learned absolutely nothing. But then the American people, the majority of the onus goes on the ruling class, obviously, that's doing this and propagandizing people. But I have to put some responsibility on the American people for refusing to look back beyond a month ago into the history books. They keep voting. We're voting out that party and voting in this party. And then this party does bullshit. So we're voting them out, and we're I'm just so confused by that, by the American voter when they're confronted with a ballot, ballot measures that really help them out. They all line up, in droves. We've talked about since the election, Florida, overwhelmingly, a supermajority votes for $15 an hour minimum wage. Mississippi votes for marijuana. Mississippi votes to end Jim Crow laws. All these red states have voted for all this progressive policy, and blue states. And yet the so-called progressive party, which is the Democrats, which they're not progressive. They're not left. They're not anything. They're just the Republican Party of 30 years ago. That has a handful of Democratic Party types from 30 years ago, i.e. the Squad, but they don't have any real populist left policies that are going to get passed. So when is the American voter going to kind of wake up to this? Obviously the propaganda machine, and I'm not excusing the propaganda machine of the ruling class, It's very effective. You see how effective it is, but people are just like, America's always been propagandized this way, but I feel like they're getting even crazier in their refusal to like do something new. Like, it is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you said that, well, the Democrats just refuse to learn. Here's the problem. Here's what they actually learned. Here's like the last time the Democrats, I think, and when I say Democrats, I mean the Democratic establishment, truly learned something. They learned something when Joe Crowley got the floor mopped with him by then challenger AOC. Mm-hmm. And what they learned was people are thirsty for real change. So we need to convince them that there's not a valid option for real change. So Nancy Pelosi would not utter the word. She would not utter the name Shahid Buttar. She knew who he was. She knew he existed. I guarantee it. But these politicians, Nancy Pelosi did it. Debbie Wasserman Schultz did it. As of recent, they're not going to acknowledge their progressive challengers. They're not going to acknowledge a debate because they saw what happened to Crowley. They don't want that to keep happening. And a really good way to prevent that is to not validate your opponent. So when people go to the polls, enough of them don't realize a valid choice is out there and just go with what they know. They go, well, Nancy Pelosi, she's been here forever. Okay, I'll check the box for her. A lot of that responsibility does fall on the voter too. I'm certainly not excusing the voter. That's definitely part of it. You're 100% right. But a lot of that also falls on a complicit corporate media that thrives on access that allows these politicians to get away with that stuff. We should live in a society where they say, hey, there's going to be a debate. And as a congressperson, you are obligated to come to this debate. It's not that we want your permission to host a debate. It's right. We're hosting a debate. And if you're not there, you're going to fricking hear about it. And if you send some representative, well, the people are going to know that. I don't know if even that would be enough in waking people up, but it sure as hell would be a start if we had a media that actually made these politicians responsible to their districts and actually forced them to debate challengers on the issues. That would be a start.
I mean, I would love to see that. I mean, the fact ducking a debate is just such a sign that you're going to lose if you go up against somebody. Like you can't debate somebody. If you're that confident. I'm confident. If I ran for an office, I would debate anybody.
Yeah,
I would debate anybody. I know I could, because I know that and if they ducked me, then it was because they couldn't handle the fact that I'm going to point them out for the liars that they are. I mean, but I really feel like America might be like seriously losing its mind. You hear about, there was that nurse in South Dakota who like a day or two ago said she's literally treating people who are dying of COVID and they don't believe that they have COVID. Mm-hmm. And she's like, it's crazy. She's like, I'm intubating them. And they're literally, some of their last words are COVID isn't real as they die from COVID. She's like, it's crazy. I mean, and then there's people who, watch both of our shows that have family members that just don't want to hear all the bad things the Democratic Party's done. Obama, Biden, Clinton, Kamala Harris. They just don't want to hear it. They just don't want to hear it. So I'm like, what is that? Because I want to believe that people are waking up, but I don't know. That's such a form of insanity. I mean, like, you're dying of COVID. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, that's like what crazy drug addicts do. Like, as a crackhead is like, you're dying from crack. No, I'm not. And like, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's brutal. And connecting it to electoralism, I think it's one of those things where no matter how bad things get, people just think better things aren't possible. And it's an awful lot of conditioning where it's like, I mean, even something like lesser of two evils, such a cliche in our society. And when you really take a step back, you realize how absolutely absurd that is, especially at a moment where the climate's collapsing and we're an empire, and we're the richest country the face of the world has ever seen, and we don't have health care. I'm not going to sit here and say that I expect our politicians to be saints. I understand that. I understand there's a certain dirtiness involved with that game, and that's never going to go away. But to just not have policies that just uphold basic human decency for a life, and to not want to be a society that builds an economy on endless war to exploit other countries and resources, that's not asking for too much. That's not a purity test. That's demanding basic human decency in a country. And other countries who also have their problems, sure as hell don't have problems to that extent.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, because anyone who thinks things are going to be different with Biden and Harris are, I don't know what to say. And the never-ending war machine.
Graham, I wouldn't be so cynical there. I'm very confident by January, Biden is going to forgive $50 of student loan debt. I think it's going to happen. I am pretty sure it'll be like a coupon, but he's going to do it. And baby steps. That's incremental. That'll go a long way.
Well, there's a bill that I know Pelosi is introducing to give every working American a $1 off on ice cream.
So there you go. I mean, that's maybe people are struggling to make their groceries right now. That'll certainly help. That's a $1 they can put towards that. So, we are seeing some stuff here. There is some solid policy out there.
That's some solid policy, Ron. Just
look, you know what, Graham? I mean, it's like we have spent 4 years with a president who has ignored science, and here we are progressing to a president who will listen to science and just ignore the inconvenient parts. We are moving along.
That's the kind of change we need, and hopefully we'll just let these centrist Democrats. I want to hold Joe Biden to the fire, but he hasn't been sworn in yet. And then when I hold him to the fire after he's sworn in, I'll be told to wait until the 22 midterms, and then after
you gotta wait until
But then 2024 he's running, so we got to hold. So when he gets his second term, but hold the 2026 midterm. So we want to hold back, just not immediately, but in 2030 is when.
That's when we might be able to do. Look, I think it's going to be one of those things where we're going to have to just hold our nose and vote for the Democratic candidate, Donald Trump Jr., to prevent the hologram of Mussolini from becoming president. And then in 2032, we can try to institute some real change. We'll be able to push Don Jr. left.
Oh, yeah, I get it. That makes sense. I think so. Yeah, I think you're right.
And for anyone who thinks that's an embellishment, by the way, tell me the difference between Bloomberg and Trump. Tell me. I'm listening.
This was
Bloomberg, the guy who ran as a Democrat.
Yes. The most Republican guy ever, who's got sexual assault charges, who's ties with Epstein.
Stop and frisk. Was that guy.
Oh,
he's running as a Democrat.
Unbelievable.
They spent more time in those debates tone policing when it came to billionaires. Like when he was like, stop calling us oligarchs. Stop calling us billionaires, please. Call us people of wealth. Fuck you. How's that? Give away enough that you're not a billionaire anymore, and then I'll call you a person of wealth.
I'll call you a person of wealth. Give away 90% of your money. That still leaves you in the 1%. The 10% will still make you richer than 99% of the population. Give it all away to help people, not for tax breaks, but give it away that just directly help people. If you do that, I won't advocate for your guillotine.
Yeah. I may even drink your shitty coffee.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
I may go out for a coffee-themed milkshake every now and again.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.